mentally to where he needs to go to try to create stuff in his life.
So now, unfortunately, a lot of our young men are incarcerated. Seems to be another holding cell, another type of slavery or something. Like, is there any hope for these guys? Can they benefit from what you're talking about?
You train while you're in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
You said talking about. In other words, if you in other words, no matter where you put me, I'm gonna figure out how to get out of it.
Right,
So
right.
if you in a situation like Pop taught us, because he figured that we need to be able to survive. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when he got married late, he had kids late. We the younger set of my grandfather's kids.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Uh-huh.
So then he had to make sure we understood how to make a living so we wouldn't have a problem, making it.
Right.
So
right.
his goal was to teach. He had to change himself first.
Right. Deep. Okay.
So I got to change myself first before I can teach you something. But if I
Right.
don't change myself,
Right.
okay. So let's just say you saying if you teaching me and you accept this stuff, okay, you think it's a good idea for me to give you stuff. So that's what you teaching me. That's how you think. How can you make me grow? How can I grow with that kind of concept?
You can't.
You can't grow. You see, and you can't grow. So I can come to where you are in New Jersey, and I'm gonna do well. I can come to where you are. I guarantee you, I can make $1,000 a week within about a little less than 30 days.
That's good stuff. Come on up, man.
Yeah, I mean, I see. Let me tell you a story. That organization was owned by Warren Buffett in Atlanta.
Okay.
Okay. My son thought they were not going to take me because I'm old, and they hire young and pretty folks.
Right. Right. Yes. Right. Right. Right.
I left Memphis. I went to Nashville. I parked in the wrong spot. I stayed there. I said, I got my documents. I ain't leaving. I walked into Atlanta that Monday morning. I got the background check, went for the interview, and I knew more than the white woman was interviewing for me. My son called me back 30 minutes later. So you got in, Dad. I said, "Hi, Nick. What the hell you think that I wouldn't get in?" And I taught you the business.
Right. Right. Right.
You think that I can't play everywhere I go?
That's what masters do.
Right. I'm 70-something years old. I ain't through yet. That's why I'm out there running the snow like a damn fool singing.
So now here we have a situation of people like, okay, so you come from a family owned and run business.
Yeah.
Most people try to avoid that. They try to get the so-called good jobs in
Right.
corporations. How's that going to work out for us?
Let me tell you this to you. Most of them, here's what you understand. Most of them, when they let them go, they can't go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm talking about? There are some who can go any place, but there are a lot of them who can't. Now, this not only apply to the African American, but to the whites too, when they come out of their setting. Now, I had an opportunity to go to a major corporation. I had no interview. I filled out no paperwork, but I knew somebody. Okay.
Right.
I was broke and no money. But I said to myself, if I take this job, I ain't going nowhere. I'm through. If I take this security, I'm through. Now I ain't got no money. My utilities off. I'm eating 2 pieces of light bread every morning, some pork and beans. Hell, that ain't no fun. But I said to myself, if I take this job because I'm in trouble, my utilities off. I ain't got no food money, ain't got no gas money. If I take this job, I won't go nowhere. Mm-hmm. I got to stay in the storm. what Jody Gunn said? I've been in the storm too long. Yeah. I got to stay in this storm until it's over with, until my life has been transformed. I got to stay in the storm. When you don't stay in the storm, every time you have a problem, you're going to back down and you're going to run. That will be your whole life. But you got to stay in the storm until it makes you and creates you and builds you to the kind of person you want to be. But if you don't stay in the storm, you ain't going to place.
How do you stay in the storm? What's the guiding light? What's the personal conversation, the self-conversation when you're in the storm? What's the conversation?
Ain't no miracle. You got to just stay when right. You got to stay in the pain. You got to stay there. You see, in other words, your conversation when you're in pain is different conversation when you ain't no pain.
True
You see
that.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? In other words, how do you communicate yourself? What I'm saying today, if you jump out of the storm before it's time, you're not going to, because your mentality will never get there.
That's right.
You got to stay in the pain. You got to stay, when I was almost on the streets, you got to stay there until your life changes. And when you go through that transformation, there's nothing on this side of heaven or hell will ever hold you again, no matter where you show up. From the cotton fields of Mississippi to the streets of New York, to Boston, to LA. When you walk through the door, they know you got something going.
Right, right. I got you.
There's something within your persona, like the old people used to tell us back home. There's something within that I can explain.
Right.
There's something.
There's something different about that guy. Right. Well,
Yeah.
TC, man, like, you know, I don't know what your schedule is. I can go longer, but we've been on for about an
We
hour.
can talk. We talk. I mean, if you got questions, just shoot about it.
Well, you know, basically my questions is just like trying to get an idea what makes you tick in terms of your thinking about the mastery. And what I take away from it is that never give up, you know, shoot for perfection, and just be strong.
Yeah. You know, here's what I do if I'm in trouble.
Yes.